I think the biggest problem is Christianity. Not to say that people shouldn't be Christians, but I think that for people who are supposed to love everybody, they spend a lot of time picking on people and figuring out what's wrong with everybody else instead of looking at what's wrong with themselves. And I think that unfortunately, they think that only they can be married, which is a little crazy. But it's a complicated issue because I heard an argument today on the View that two of them were saying, oh, if a priest or a preacher marries a gay couple, or he refuses or she refuses to marry a gay couple, they could put that religious leader in prison. And yeah, yeah, that's right. There's law. So I think what churches have to decide is, do they there by law there's a separation of church and state. So anything that has to do with the private lives of American citizens, according to the law, doesn't have isn't anyone's business. So I heard also that there's a lawsuit, a couple of them, to fight the ban, and it's probably going to overturn the ban because it's a violation of civil rights. I mean, it's clear, it's black and white, and I just think it was a situation where uh, the vote was exploited by people who probably the other side, the gay community, probably didn't have enough time to produce media to really educate people and tell them what it was doing. I saw a few ads about it, and the way the churches advertised it was that it was like an attack on marriage. Like, marriage would be obliterated if people didn't do this. And people aren't that educated. I mean, they really don't read things and they really don't look into stuff. And I think, look how long it took people to realize how screwed up Bush was. I mean, it just goes to show that if people, if the estranged or victimized group doesn't have proper legal representation, then it is going to continue to be victimized. If you look at the civil rights era, it was through a process of lawsuits. People went to court. That's the only way things changed. I mean, they marched and they protested and everything. But I actually think that most people really don't care about. Look, if we can vote a black man into the presidency, we can get gay people civil rights. I don't think it's that. I don't think that's the issue. I don't think this was a case of hatred. I think this is a case of uh, of churches sticking their noses in where they don't belong. There's a separation of church and state for this very reason. Because if people get to put their spiritual ideology, and if they get to make laws based on the spiritual ideology, everybody's gonna suffer. Uh, I understand that people want to be Christians and they want to believe in God and whatever, but that doesn't mean that they get to tell me what to do. I think that's wrong. I think it's evil. It's like what Nazis did. It's like separating families, tearing people apart. And Arkansas outlawed um, gay people from adopting children. That's horrible. Most gay people, the only ones I've met, they have their shit together. They're like educated and they have good jobs and they're law-abiding citizens. They're pillars of the community. But for some reason, Christians take a verse in the Bible and they take it out of context. I'm not a religious person. Maybe that's why I don't have a problem with anybody. But because I just think religious people are hateful, hateful and mean. That's it. I don't hate God or anything, but I don't believe that religion represents God. I think when people get their hands on it, they use it as a weapon, and you know, that's really unfortunate. It makes me sad. And I hope you're not too broken up about it. I mean, things will change. Um, things change eventually. It takes time, and most of it's going to be done in the courts. But we have a chance now of getting, decent Supreme Court justices now. Because Barack Obama's going to pick probably 2 to 3 of them. Thank God. It could be a lot worse. And I still think it's wrong. I'm really sorry you're upset, and I'm sorry for your friends. And I hope this doesn't ruin your day or your life or theirs. I'm just being really, like, now that I've seen that a black person can be elected into the presidency, I think anything's possible, and I think it's just a matter of time. I think that we need to just educate ourselves, and that the gay community needs to pair up with other communities. There are lots of, there needs to be like national forums or statewide forums about it, and I think, honestly, you know, it's true that a lot of African Americans are religious people, and that we tend to be conservative. Sometimes I'm not a religious person, so I'm more liberal minded. But I think that there's also a lot of issues with the black community in terms of, you know, dealing with its own homophobia. And as I understand it, there were a lot of African American gay couples that are affected by this as well. So that's why I didn't understand your rant. It doesn't make sense. There were Asian couples and Hispanic couples and black couples, that are affected by this. I even heard the N word being thrown around at black gay people, and I think that's horrible. I think we're being made to be scapegoats, and it's just like that's how it always works: divide and conquer. That's the rule. That's old politics. And I don't mean to sound like a cliche, but it's true. It's true.